The date is January 2nd, 2026, fresh into the new year. Despite only being just on the second day of a fresh year, things are off to the races at the COMRC. Just outside sat a pickup truck with fresh lumber being delivered here. Stepping inside the building, we find that the old HO scale layout is being taken apart, and along the wall is what appears to be a new table with a second story on it. Now some of you may be wondering what is going on. Well, I'm here to tell you. It all started back at the beginning of 2024. That year, the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club voted to remodel the space of the building we are located in. The vote, it was also agreed that the O-scale group of the COMRC would move from the main room to the newly opened front room and build a new and bigger O-scale layout. The front room used to be made up of a conference room, an old disused workshop which was being used for storage, the old N-scale room, and an old library room which was also being mainly used for storage. It was also agreed on that the N-scale group of the COMRC would be moved in with the HO scale group. The Flex Circus S-scale layout would be also moved into the new front room along with the O-scale layout. With all this work, one of the main goals besides building a new O-scale layout was to build a brand new HO scale layout for the club. While running trains on the old HO scale layout was fun, it could sometimes get repetitive running a caucus race. Another issue found with the old HO scale layout was that of capacity. With the old layout, it could fit up to 9 trains on the layout at one time. The club has over 100 club members. Combining the fact that 70 to 80% of the club members ran HO scale stuff meant that the layout was limited in how many people could run on the layout at one time. Also, if someone wanted to get on or off the layout, they'd have to coordinate with everyone else to get in or out. Otherwise, a collision between 2 trains could be assured. By the time the O-scale layout was up and running, 2025 was the year most of the HO scale club members got together to come up with a new design for the new HO scale layout. While lots of designs were pitched, eventually by the end of 2025, it was voted upon that the layout designed by Zane Teutonic would become the successor layout to the old HO scale layout. Now here is the design for the new HO scale layout that Zane proposed. Now, while some things have changed from this design, the main core of this layout has stayed the same. Also note that some of the industries and some of the stations that are listed here have been either rearranged or replaced as development of this layout has progressed. The layout is a double-decker layout with a double-track looped main line running between both the layers and a single-track loop running on both the top and the bottom layers. We'll start from the bottom. The area highlighted in red will be considered the club-only access area for club members, and this area, highlighted in yellow, is considered to be public space for the general public to explore the layout. Starting at the bottom left corner of the layout, this is where the staging yard is. Here, club members will be able to bring in their trains and set them up to run out on the main line of the layout. To the right of the staging yard, there are plans for a locomotive shop and roundhouse to be placed in that area. Passing the roundhouse and locomotive shops, there will be a set of 2 tracks that will cross over a swing bridge to access the rest of the layout. These 2 tracks are not considered main lines. They're only connector tracks to get members' trains out of the staging yard and out onto the main line, in either direction. Returning to the bottom left corner, where the other end of the staging yard is, another set of tracks leave the yard and connect to the main line. From here, we enter onto the double-track main line which connects both the layers. Heading towards the reserved space area, the double-track main line heads uphill toward the upper level. It crosses over a massive viaduct across a river and swings over itself as it winds through the hills. Since this is headed to the upper level, let's head back to the junction and go in the other direction. Headed back in the other direction, the double-track main line meets the lower-level single-track loop line. Both the double-track and the single-track main lines are supposed to represent two different railroads. The two railroads will run almost as a triple-track railroad until they reach the city area. The first place after ducking underneath the connecting tracks members will see will be the classification yard. The plan for over here will be to have a massive classification yard, so during operations, club members can switch cars and serve local industries in the area. In between both the classification yard and the area to be known as Union Station, there will be a massive junction where trains operating on the lines can switch either between the two roads or come in and out of both the yard and Union Station. Beyond Union Station, the railroads will split to navigate their own ways through the city. As both lines get past the main city area, the area labeled Steel Mill has been changed. It is now planned to become a coal loading dock for lake freighters carrying coal. Passing the coal docks, both railroads continue on. As the double-track road continues onto the last peninsula, the single-track railroad will go in the other direction to finish its loop on the lower level. From here, the double-track main line begins to climb uphill again for the upper level. The line will enter into a tunnel, swing around underneath itself, and then cross another large bridge. Now let's head up to the upper level. As the double track continues its march uphill, it is inside part of the upper level. It will continue this till it reaches an area where it meets the second single-track railroad on the upper level. Once the single-track road crosses the double-track main line, both roads follow each other loosely past a planned industry area. Going around the next peninsula, both railroads enter into farm fields and past a large grain elevator. Beyond that, both railroads then enter into a town where both roads will cross another independent railroad at grade. The plan for this area is to have a passenger station here at the Diamond to serve all three roads. As the two railroads continue onto the next peninsula, there will be a small yard here to service more industries in the area, as well as to act as an interchange between both the railroads. Eventually, just like on the lower level, while the double-track road swings onto the last peninsula, the single-track line will swing back to meet itself to complete its own loop. But just beyond that, there are plans for a Y here to connect the single-track upper-level line to a big branch line. This large branch will go above the staging yard and climb up and over its own hill to reach a coal mine at the end of the branch. As for the double-track road, it begins its descent back down to the lower level, where it will start the loop all over again. Now that's the basics of what the new HO-scale layout is going to be. Again, although this is the main plan, it is still subject to change as the project continues on. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get back to what was going on at the club when we arrived here. There were around 3 projects to accomplish today. The first one was to take the rolling stock, buildings, and many loose objects and items off the old layout. While for the time being they were just sitting on fold-out tables, they would later be put into boxes for storage. Another project on the table was the construction of a new N-scale T-track table. While this wasn't the beginnings of the new HO scale layout, it did give some of our club members who were wood carpenters a project to do.
Then we slide these cabinets, pull it out of the way,
The new N-scale T-track table is intended to replace the old T-track table, which was on what remains of the original O-scale layout. By the end of the day, the remains of that table will be torn off the wall and on its side for later dismantling. The last project was to dismantle the original HO scale layout and to shrink its footprint down. The plan with this new smaller layout was to have construction of the new HO scale layout begin and to allow for the HO scale club members to still be able to come in and operate trains for a little while longer. By the end of the day, the new N-scale T-track table was up. The shrinking of the original HO scale layout was also accomplished, with a new arrangement for the modules. All that was left to do was to connect the modules, line up the tracks, and to hook up electricity to it. This could be done on another day. As for the remaining modules, which were not used, they were just leaned up against the wall for the time being. Returning to the club on the 8th, the old HO scale modular layout had been secured together. The tracks on the layout still needed to be aligned, and wiring still needed to be put together at this point. All the N-scale T-track modules were also placed on the full-out tables and placed in front of the new N-scale T-track table. Besides cleanup and other club members putting other things away into storage, our carpenters were in the process of cutting a bunch of wood and preparing the area for the start of construction. Also by this point, the original O-scale layout table that had been torn off the wall in the previous day had now finally been dismantled and was now part of the pile of wood being prepared for construction. Also, if you were wondering about the Thomas layout, it was taken apart and moved to where the original O-scale layout once stood. 5 days later, on the 13th, the first section of Benchwork was up against the wall, and the carpenters were hard at work building more of the layout and expanding the table.
I was thinking the same thing, and on the plans here, it's like that.
I figured out what it was.
While this was going on, we got to see some of the saws being used on the construction of the layout. During all this, club members, such as the ones operating in the O-scale area, were still running trains on their new layout. Besides the O-scalers, the old HO-scale modular layout's tracks had been aligned and the layout was wired up. So that meant, after some cleaning of the rails, the HO-scale trains were able to run tonight. All the while, the construction was still going on, and by the end of the night, the carpenters had begun the first peninsula of the new layout. 2 days later, the Benchwork has experienced a growth spurt, and as the day goes on, we'll get to see it expand further. In order to keep the first peninsula in its proper spot, planks were attached to the Benchwork against the wall and then attached to the new peninsula. The planks will stay here until the peninsula is attached to the floor so it won't easily move during construction. Later in the day, lead carpenter Allen got his laser levels set up in order to check if the peninsula was staying even. As I said in the other video, it passed with flying colors. Speaking of colors, the new N-scale T-track table got its first shade of green painted onto it. Later that afternoon, while some club members were running trains on the HO-scale layout, other club members continued working on the Benchwork. In this shot, we see two of our club members putting together one of the layout's more complex pieces. We'll now move on to the 19th. On this day, above the lower level Benchwork against the wall, we now have the beginnings of the upper level. Drilled against the wall was a wooden rectangular structure with wooden shelf brackets drilled inside. Besides the brackets against the wall, the first peninsula was nearing completion and also receiving shelf brackets as well. Unfortunately, with all this fast progress, it had become very obvious by this point that it was finally time for what remained of the original HO-scale layout to be torn down to make way for the new HO-scale layout. As this NS switcher rolls by, we'll now move to the 22nd. By this time, the upper level shelf against the wall had made more progress, and this also went along with the peninsula as well. By February 3rd, the original HO scale layout was dismantled for the final time. Luckily for the old layout, while some of the modules went home to their original owners, the rest of the old layout was sold off to another individual. By this time, the only operational layout at the CMRC was now the O-scale layout. By the 12th of February, the old layout was gone, and the other two peninsulas of the new HO scale layout were now under construction. Getting up onto the work table, we get a bird's eye view of the benchwork. By the 17th, the work table had been dismantled to make way for more construction of the benchwork. By this point, while construction of the table was still going on, by the 19th, the new table was receiving its first coat of paint, a dark gray. By the end of the work session, most of the benchwork along the wall had received its gray colors. By the 24th, paintwork was continuing onto the rest of the benchwork. Also on this day, a set of tabletops was being placed down onto the table. Another project that was taking place was the shaping of the wood around the curved sections of the table. This was achieved by taking thin planks of wood and first screwing them into the table. Then, more thin planks of wood would be glued onto the planks already attached to the table. Clamps were also used to secure the planks of wood as the wood glue dried. The process was repeated until you have a nice looking curve on the table. Also by this time, the end scale table was almost done being put back together. Inside the layout sat 3 boxes. Inside these boxes were rolls of cork. This cork will become very handy in the coming days. We'll now finish our video on February 26th. A lot was to happen on this day. We begin by heading over to the benchwork against the wall. Here, the tabletop was nearing completion. For areas of the railroad, where it was to remain mostly flat, it was to consist of a sheet of plywood as a base, then followed by homosote as a top layer. The way the homosote was being attached was by an adhesive that was spread onto the plywood. When the area was ready, the homosote was lifted up and placed into its final position. Most of the pieces, both the homosote and plywood, had to be specially cut to be placed onto the layout. Once the homosote was placed down, it was then drilled down to the table to make sure that the homosote was as flat as it could get. As soon as the adhesive was done drying, the screws were removed. Another project still ongoing was the shaping of the wood around more sections of the layout. In this shot, we see a number of clamps holding down a recently glued down plank. In this next shot, we see a number of our club members as they glue down another plank into position.
I'm just going to curve this so that it'll fit on here. Just curving it very slowly to try and not to snap it, and it will go.
Don't go on yet, Mitch.
I'm not trying to
Okay,
keep.
yeah.
I'm trying to hold it back to keep it from going.
You're doing great, Mitch. You're letting it in slowly. That's what we need. Okay.
So I can get down there and clamp.
Alright, we are here. So if you can put a clamp over here. Go ahead, one right here.
Well, don't tell me when I'm doing a bad job, please.
Everyone's fine.
Okay, we need one right here. And now Mitch, you can begin to
Where your fingers, where your left thumb is?
Yes.
I'm assuming the backside
Yes.
of this is covered with forbidden peanut butter.
Okay. Okay, we need one over here. Right in here. And I'll come back and make the tiny adjustments. Level that on the end. Okay. You can go ahead and put it in here.
Done.
Then one on the end over here.
Not exactly level, but
Yeah, as long as the top is level. Okay, and I got it from here. I can put these other clamps on. Thank you very much for your assistance.
Later on, when the glue was mostly done drying, we get to see the final results from that project. One of the most exciting projects on this day was to lay down the first section of track onto this table. The first thing that was done after consulting a map was to draw out where the tracks were to be laid. Now, remember the cork we saw earlier? Well, the next step was to take it, roll it out, and cut it to the right width. After getting it cut out, it was then glued down to the homosote in the intended areas.
that was so
Once the cork was down, we then proceeded to place some flex track onto the roadbed. While this was cool, this was not to be the first pieces of track to be laid onto the cork. After laying some more cork roadbed down, the first piece of track to be laid was this switch at what was to later become the staging yard. For the track, instead of gluing it down, it was to be nailed down, just in case it needed to be removed later on for any reason. We'll now get a front row seat to the first spike to be laid onto the new railroad.
That's almost 2 years right there, waiting for that moment.
All right, guys, the layout's done.
Hey.
Job's finished. We can go home. We have a layout now.
If only this was the truth.
Oh, we'll get there.
That should be our official club profile.
I'm gonna get that framed and hang it up somewhere in here. Right here.
I like that.
No, there's gonna be a backdrop there.
What about right behind you?
Put it inside the
There's
shop.
gonna be a backdrop.
On February 26, 2026, at 9:10 p.m., the last nail was driven into the switch, marking the first piece of track to be laid onto the new HO scale layout. After a small celebration, this concluded our work session for the day. And now, we have reached the caboose of this video. In the next part, we'll pick up in March and watch as the staging yard takes shape along with other projects. If you're interested in keeping up on this project as it goes on, please subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell button down below so you'll be notified when new videos get released to this channel. As always, happy model railroading!